Shut off my.
Okay, so we are live. Thank you guys for joining us. We're going to give it a minute for some people to come on in, but I am here with Rene, and a lot of you guys have probably seen her video that she shot on the night of the tragic shooting in Las Vegas from the Bellagio Hotel and Casino. And I wanted to reach out to as many people as I could who would be willing to share their experience from that night from other locations, because we've heard a lot of stories from people that have experienced things that the media is not reporting on. So I reached out to Rene, and she was gracious enough to say that she'd come on with us and have a conversation. And so here she is. So say hello.
Hi. I've never done this before.
Well, we got through it. We had some technical issues.
That's for sure.
But somehow we made it. We made it. So what I really want is, what I'm interested in is just what happened that night, a timeline. Yeah. I'm just going to let you talk, and then I'll interject occasionally with questions. But go ahead. Tell us what happened.
Absolutely. So my husband and I were just driving back from Palm Springs. We had been there for a few days, and we've stayed at the Bellagio numerous times, and we thought, okay, let's just go to the Bellagio. We know where to eat. We like it. We thought we'd still have time at the pool, that kind of thing. Friends of ours were at, I got to take this out while that way I don't hear myself echo.
No, it's fine. That's fine.
Okay. So friends of ours were at the festival, and she was like, hey, you're here. And I said, yeah. They invited us to come over because they actually had left the festival to go and shower, and they were going to go back again. And I said, no, we're going to go have dinner with my husband's family. So we were going to meet out afterwards because they were going to go downtown and go ziplining. And so we said, okay, well, we'll get back here around 9:30 or 10. And they said that was perfect because they thought they'd be over to the Bellagio around 10:30. Mm-hmm. And probably right around 10:30. So we said, okay, so we did. We got back there about 9:30, 9:45. And my husband and I love the Petrosian Lounge with the piano bar and everything. We know a couple of the piano players there. And we walked right in, sat right down, started talking with the cocktail waitress. She had worked there for like 13 years. So we're sitting there talking. And I was texting my friend who was at the festival, who I'd been chatting with all day long. And she wasn't answering. So I'm thinking, well, maybe it's just loud and she'll look at her phone. So we're sitting there, like 10:30, 10:45. And I'm like, well, this isn't normal, because normally she's known me for years and years. She's not like a flake, I guess you could say. So about 11 o'clock, I told Daniel, I'm like, well, I know that they're going ziplining downtown, and I know they had already gotten their tickets. So let's just get a drink, and then because we were just sitting there. We didn't know if they were going to come walking in, and we were just all going to leave.
So, and this was 11 o'clock p.m.
11 o'clock. So, because I was just drinking water prior to that. We hadn't drank. And like I said, we were with his family and everything, and the kids. So we went to order a drink, and then all of a sudden, this huge crowd, I can't even explain it. Just a stampede came rushing through the doors. The block things that you stand at the front, the red ropes, were all people weren't running around them. They were running over them. And we heard the gunfire. And the best that I can describe it, Tracy, is the fact that it was like if you take a board and you drop it on the floor, and it was like just this pop, 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 like that. And it was automatic. And I didn't know what kind of gunfire until my husband told me afterwards. And because I've never heard anything like that. And all I thought was, dear Lord, what? My husband literally takes me and puts me down underneath the table, which I showed in the video. This other lady was laying head to head with me, and she's crying. And she I guess had jumped over the cement pillars, and she's crying. I don't know where my son is. And I was like, that's okay. I said, just hold on. He'll be okay. He'll be okay. And I just started praying. And I was like, Lord, just please cover us, cover my husband, covering us. I didn't even know what to do. I just wanted her to hear that we were still talking. And then all of a sudden it just got quiet. I felt my husband kind of lift up off of me a little bit. And people kind of looked up. Then all of a sudden security came in, and they're like, go, everybody back, everybody back. And we got up and everybody ran into the bar because we were sitting right out in front where the piano is. Everybody ran in, and then there was a long hallway I never even knew was there. And my husband stayed out there making sure that everybody was getting back safely. I lost my husband and I'm yelling, "Where's my husband? Where's my husband?" He's making sure that everybody's getting through because he's a retired Marine and that's just what they do.
Yeah.
And so he was able to catch up with me in the back corridor. I didn't know where I was. And people, once we got back there, kind of started scattering because all we knew is we wanted to get off of that floor.
Okay, so I'm just going to recap the beginning and you correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
You guys were sitting at the bar. You were texting with your friend. It was around 10:15, 10:30. You were expecting to hear from her, but thought maybe she's not answering because the music's loud and she doesn't hear her phone.
Right.
You guys decide, let's have a drink while we wait for her. And at around 11 o'clock, you see a flood of people run in to the Bellagio and you hear gunfire.
At 11 o'clock, right about, is when we said, you know what, let's just get a drink if she's not coming or something. So probably it was around 11:15, 11:20-ish was when the whole flood of people started flying in through the doors.
Okay, so then your husband and you got down on the floor. When there was a lull, your husband got up, and that's when security from the hotel basically ushered you guys back.
Yeah, it was major. Yeah, it was major ushering, like go, run, get to the back is what it was.
Okay, so continue. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. So we got up into a tower and it said 32. And I don't know if that's a 32nd floor, if that's just the number that we were, but it was 32. And there was a group of us then at that point, because people had kind of gone into groups and that had gotten on the elevators. And so we got all the way, my husband was looking for where the exits were, and people were holding the door open for him because we knew that they locked behind him. So he had me placed up against a door in case shooters were going to come down the hallway. Like I said, we didn't know who was where or anything. Mm-hmm. So he walked out into the hallway, but he could see down that it was just out to the street. And he didn't want us on the street because that's where we had heard it coming from. So we didn't know if it was around us or inside. We didn't know.
Okay.
So people kind of started moving because the hallways, they're very long. And some people went one way, and Daniel and I stayed down there, and he had me, there was like some kind of planter partition thing. So I was kind of standing in back of that. And then we saw people that had gotten off the elevator. And my husband decided at that point we needed to try to get back to our room. And we got in the elevator, went all the way down, went immediately across to the other elevator because there's rooms such and such through such and such. So we got to where we were and didn't really notice anybody around there except for the security, that if people were going to come through, I guess we're going to be checking cards or whatever. We didn't know what was happening. We just got back up to our room.
Okay.
So we got back up to the room. Now this is probably about 10 minutes to 12. Mm-hmm. We had heard the sirens. So immediately we turned on the TV thinking, oh my gosh, they're going to be all around outside the Bellagio. We're looking at the stuff that's going on at Mandalay Bay. And we're like, wait a minute, what the heck? Because we had zero clue that anything had happened at Mandalay Bay. And they were showing us all this stuff. And we're like, oh, dear Lord. So immediately my husband says, change clothes, put your gym clothes on with your tennis shoes, because we didn't know at that point if something was going to happen and we were going to have to run. Mm-hmm. So I changed clothes, put on my gym shoes really fast. We made a couple phone calls to tell people where we were. I called first I called 911, and I'm sure they were getting inundated with calls. And then they connected me to the non-emergency line, and they took my statement saying, look, we were here. This is what just happened at the Bellagio. And she said, okay, I'll pass this on. So we're sitting there watching the TV, and then the sheriff comes on and he doesn't say a thing about the Bellagio. I don't know what was happening at the other hotels, but there was nothing said. And I'm like, wait a minute, there's still people walking around in here. And if there's people with guns, we never saw anybody with guns, but I heard them. My husband is extremely well trained in knowing where and when and how, after almost 23 years in the Marine Corps, where things are. And for him, who he does not scare easily, to literally take me and put me down under the table and to cover me, there was a direct threat. And we were just waiting for them, and they didn't say anything. Nobody was saying anything. So we sat there for a little while longer, and my husband said, okay, we're just gonna go, you just stay right with me. So we went to go down, and that's when I started the video, because all these people were down there. We tried to go out and we were all blocked off. The security had blocked it. You couldn't get down the corridor into the casino or into the lobby. So when we were in the lobby, when we had initially dropped, before the security came down, as people kind of started to look up, you could see all the glass and people's shoes and purses. I mean, people just dropped and ran. And
so there was broken glass there, and there was chaos and, you know, damage and things like that.
Yeah, there was even the glass partition things that say like what show is going on there, you know, where to go eat, that kind of thing. Those things were trampled over. People didn't run around things. They ran through them and over them. So
so another question about the glass. Was the glass that was broken in the front of the building from the doors of the hotel, or from other things that were broken through the trample?
We couldn't see.
Or do you not know?
We could not see. And that was why when we went to go down, we thought, well, are they fixing the doors? What does this look like? Is basically what it was. And when we were held back and then I saw these people, I just told Daniel, I'm like, okay, if people are still walking around out there, we could see them cleaning up. We could see the crews in there cleaning up, but we couldn't get to them. So we started walking the other way down the hall, and that's when I started filming, and I'm like, this is where we're at. We're at the Bellagio Hotel, and we're trapped in and I was also doing that because if there was something else going on, I wanted people to know where we all were. That this is like, okay, I don't know who's in their rooms or but there's actually people in here, you know?
Yeah, so you were trying to warn people,
Absolutely.
which I was, when we were talking before, I said that, what forethought, that was so smart of you to do. It wasn't even necessarily because at this point you were still, I'm sure, kind of like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
So you recorded for about 8 minutes.
Okay. I don't even know.
in the video I saw where you actually walk down and you end up talking to hotel staff. What happened there?
So we had walked down one way, and my husband was trying to get the layout as far as kind of where we were. And we went to go walk outside, and that's where you see the one police officer, security person that says, no, this is all blocked off. You can't come out here. So we thanked him and said, okay. And we turned around. That's when we went back up to the hotel staff. So I was filming, and I'm like, all right, so let's see. Are they going to say, oh, no, it'll just be a couple minutes, you know, that kind of thing. And they were basically telling people, if you have a room here, go back up to your room. And that's when I walked up to the other lady that was standing there, and I said, okay, so are you guys blocking this because of everything that went on? And that's when she said, yes, of course, is what you heard. And I said, because you know they're not saying this on the news. And she said, yes, again. I said, they're not saying anything about the gunfire. And she was like, no, they're not. So everything that I was saying to her, I wasn't trying to lead her. I was just making sure that they knew exactly what we were trying to protect people from that could be still going on. We did not know if there were still people in that hotel that were running around on the floors.
So when did you see police? Did you, or did you just go upstairs and go to sleep? Like, how did that work for the rest of the night?
No, we didn't see any police officers. We only saw the security. We could see the police from out of our windows. We could see all the cop cars and everything like that from out of our window. And by that time I had gotten in touch with my friend. She called me and she said, we were there. My cousin got shot and they were at the hospital. And I'd also talked to a couple other people that were also in touch with a couple other people type thing. So I knew when my first phone call went out, which was at 11:31, when we were running through the corridors, that we were already in the back at that point, because I was calling to let my family members know that where we were and what was going on.
So the elevators in the building at this point are open for you to use to get to your room and everything like that. It's just that where weren't you allowed to go?
The casino and the lobby.
Okay. All right. So you're allowed to go back up to your room and travel freely elsewhere, but the casino and the lobby are completely blocked out from.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And anything else of note? And sorry for your cousin's friend. I mean, that's just horrific. This whole thing is mind blowing.
I mean, she's okay. They were released that morning, and she'd actually put it out on Facebook. Is there anybody around that we can come in? Because all the other hotels at that point went on lockdown. They couldn't get into their hotel, nor could they get into anybody else's. So, because I said, you can come here, but I don't know if they've even released the security yet. And at that point, they had a friend of theirs that was there, and they had released her friend from the hospital, and they were going to get back to Palm Springs.
Okay. So crazy. So you're watching news coverage still throughout the night, like wondering what's going on?
Yep. Talking, a couple of our friends from news stations that we know in California had reached out. They've known my husband and I for a really long time. And they're like, Rene, what's going on? Because I've never gone live. I've never done anything like this. It was like if I posted a picture of me and my dog on Facebook, that was like my big thing. Yeah. And so as we were doing this, and I was trying to describe, and yet I was shaky, and I never, ever, ever would want anybody to feel that kind of feeling, and just know, and hearing those, I can't even describe it. I wish I had words, and I can't describe it. And so we were upstairs in the room, and we went back, and we thought, okay, well, we'll lay down. And of course that was a no-go, because it would just heightened emotions, everything. So it got to be about 6:30, and we went to walk back downstairs, and my husband and I are like, let's go get some coffee, because we were leaving, and McCarran Airport had shut down and that night. So we didn't even know if we were going to get out. And so when we had gotten back into the room, we were just kind of, putting our stuff together. And we went to go and get coffee, and people were standing in there, and they were talking and everything. And then you saw some people that were standing in there that just were sitting on the chairs that were also telling the same story, that had been up all night. And people were like, what? If you went to bed at 10 o'clock that night at the Bellagio, you had no idea that anything happened, because the next morning when we were able to go into the coffee shops and everything was open, there wasn't a piece of lint out of place.
So basically all the chaos that happened the night previous was cleaned up. Obviously you heard these gunshots enough for your husband to cover you in marine mode. So they were loud, but if you're on floor 20, probably not, or drunk and passed out.
Like I said, there were some old people that were in the coffee shop that were behind us. And I had gotten a phone call as we were standing there, and I was telling them, and they were like, wait a minute, what? One lady said she was actually all the way towards the back playing blackjack. Then she went on to one of the slot machines. Nobody even saw her. She didn't know. She was like, I didn't know, because she wasn't up in front where the whole stampede thing was coming through. She didn't even know. She had no, and she goes, I went up and went to bed.
I have a bunch of questions in my head I'll get to after this, what I want to go through. So they cleaned up everything. Yep. And you're going, I guess, to check out at this point, right? Because it's 6:30 in the morning. You have to catch a flight, hopefully. And you want to check out, and what happened then? So
we go to check out, and I'm thinking, well, we were in our room maybe a total of 2.5 hours total from check-in to then, maybe a total of 2.5 hours. And because we didn't get there until we got into Vegas around 4, checked in everything. That was about 4:30. Went and met my husband's family. We changed clothes, went and met my husband's family about 6:30 or 7 in Henderson. And then by the time we got back, like I said, it was 9:30, 10 o'clock, and we were going to meet my friends. And so literally we had been in there 2.5 hours. So I walked up, and I'm saying, all right, so because of everything that went on last night, I said to the girl, and with all the gunshots and stuff, I said, are you guys discounting rooms? How are you handling this? And she said, hold on a second. So she goes to the back, and she gets her manager, and the manager comes out, and my husband and I are standing there. And she said, she can help you. I said, yeah, I was just asking if you guys are discounting rooms, because none of us could really get there, and most of us didn't really sleep because of all the gunfire and all the happenings here last night. And she looked right at us, and she said, there was no gunfire outside the Bellagio Hotel last night. Just like that.
That it's like it's scary, isn't it? Like the Twilight Zone. That is chilling to me.
My husband's face was, and he is so calm, so mild-mannered. And my husband's face, he was straight. And I looked and I was like, really? Okay, well, let me show you the video from where we were all blocked off and security and what I was, and I didn't even have to show it to them. She said, hold on one moment, ma'am. Walks in the back, comes back out, slides our receipt over and says, here you go. You guys have a good day.
And the receipt had
0 goose eggs.
I'm like that is just crazy.
I called it the hush comp. I mean, I've gambled hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars at hotels, and it was this. I didn't know if they were just discounting. I just couldn't believe it. But when she said there was, and she leaned right over and she said, there was no gunfire at the Bellagio Hotel last night. And I was like, basically what you're telling me, I couldn't believe it. I could not believe what was being said.
And you see, this is why I decided to do this. And thank you so much for this. Like, you have no idea how helpful this is, because there are people like you all over Vegas that are saying, I experienced something that everybody refuses to acknowledge or tells me that I'm crazy. And you've experienced that yourself, right?
I have received more private messages of people, Rene, please, I want to share this with you and I want to let you know that we support you and blah, blah, blah. But they can't say anything because of their jobs, because of privacy. I had given my word that I would not give them or give out any names, but they said, you're more than welcome to use. People have sent me videos. One lady was across the street on the Ferris wheel and jumped into the cab. And they heard on the cabs thing, as far as stay away from the Bellagio, shots fired. And she sent me the whole thing. And I'm sitting here and I was just like, so people are sending me things, but they cannot, because like I said, of jobs and privacy and other things, they don't want. And here's the thing. I didn't do this because I was like, oh, here's us doing this right now. This was because there were people that were not safe. And I knew what I just experienced, and I knew the way that it felt. And I have never, and still have never felt that kind of terror in my life. When I'm walking around right now, when people were putting their trash cans out and you heard the dum, 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 dum down this morning when I was walking my dog, everything now sounds different, is the only way that you can say. It's a different heightened sense of anxiety. And I don't know what it feels like normally, but if this is what it is, I wouldn't wish this on anyone. When you are sitting there and all of a sudden you're thinking that all I actually thought after I got done praying with that lady and trying to calm her down as she was crying was, what is this going to feel like when the bullet hits? That's all that I thought. And then all of a sudden my husband got up on top from off of me and I was like, Daniel. And he was like, shh, like that.
People in the chat are asking and wondering if you have the receipt from the Bellagio.
Absolutely, I do. Yep. In fact, I sent it to one of my friends just to make sure, in case anything was taken off of any kind of Facebook thing and stuff like that, so that she had a copy of it.
Okay.
And one of my
I don't personally think it's necessary. I will show it. We need to scratch out, when they hold, and even our last 4 digits on our credit card are on there. Yeah.
But we were, I believe it was 66126 was our number. And it was at the end of the hall because they actually had upgraded us to a junior suite because I had that M Life, which is the points and everything. And so, yeah, but yes, I do have the receipt. And yes, upon request, it will be shown. I just need to black it. And the way that I had initially tried to do it, like I said, I've never been involved in anything like this. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. My husband and I don't believe in coincidence. So I cannot believe that all they had to do was just tell people, get inside until we at least figure this out.
Yeah, they didn't say anything. And then that leads me to the next thing. If it's okay to talk about with you, your media experience thus far, or what's happened.
Well, like I said, friends of mine that have known me for a long time that did actual phone interviews. I mean, full on interviews from major news stations have not been able to put this out because it has not been confirmed. And they hate it. They're like, Rene, look, we know you, you know, and they have not gotten the go ahead. And I understand. And I told them, look, if you do, you know, I have no problem talking to you. And they're also my friends. And a couple radio people, a couple other places that I won't talk to until I've actually even spoken to my friends about that are in the news about, because I trust them not to twist things. When I got off the plane here, I did an interview with Channel 5 in DC. And the way that it was portrayed was, you know, I gave them this long interview after this 5-hour plane flight, 4.5, 5 hours from Vegas to here, gave them an interview. And then the slice that I saw by the time, you know, we had turned on the TV was like, wait a minute. And they said, well, you know, we called, I think in a way they were trying to explain that they were being told that I might have misheard echoes. And the echoes that were 45 minutes later. Now, I don't know about you, but when you fire a gun, unless it's going to go, stop, do something, hang out for a while, and then decide, doesn't take 45 minutes. It takes about 3 seconds.
Right. And not only that, but like we were talking, the Bellagio is 1.5 miles away from
down the street.
Bay. Right.
Yep.
So it's a 7-minute car ride.
Yes.
So unless these were miracle bullets, I think that you've got something else going on over there.
Yep. Yep. And we also have friends of ours that we didn't even know were out there. One was at Caesar's Palace. There was another lady that was stranded over at the CVS, and they were blockaded inside the CVS because the taxi cab drivers were saying nobody out on the streets. There's multiple gunfire. So these people have all sent me private messages as well saying, look, this is where we were and this is what happened and that kind of thing. So it's just kind of like, why wouldn't all they had to say was people up and down the street, take cover, get inside, do something. And nobody was saying anything. And I'm just like, this is people, these are people's lives. I couldn't believe it. I still can't believe it.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. And you know, when we talked, I told you that we were not going to, this interview is not about the theories on what happened or, any of that stuff. I just want people to hear that there are legit other incidences of this
100%,
going on.
100%. 100%. Yep. And it is, and I'm hoping that something comes of this. This is so far from political. My friends that we were waiting on are not Republicans. And that's all I can tell you. I don't know if they're Democrats, liberals, whatever, but I know they're not Republicans. But let me tell you what, they were some of my closest friends and they were there and she got shot. And at that time, when a bullet doesn't know what race, color, creed, or political affiliation you belong to. And it's really, really sad when people try to make it about that, because this is the furthest thing from it. This was literally about human life and safety. And I just couldn't believe it.
Yeah. I mean, obviously people are we don't know what happened. That's what we're trying to figure out. Like myself personally, I've been working on this 24 hours a day since it happened. And so, until we know what happened, we can't say definitively it was this or it was that. And, getting people like you who are brave enough to actually talk about what happened to them and what they went through is step number one. I am so happy that you took the time to explain what happened. And I want you now, if you can, I know there's been several people that have used your video as a testimonial. Yeah, a lot of people. Anything you want to clear up that was misconstrued or anything like that, go ahead.
My husband actually had to put out a statement. And if I can bring this up, I don't know how long you have, because it says it perfectly. We even heard it last night that somebody was saying something about that I had said the word shrapnel and stuff like that. We never saw any gunmen. We didn't. I heard everything. We saw mass chaos. Did I see any gunmen? No. Do I know it was 45 minutes later? Yes. Did I see any bullets myself? No. Did we assume that they were being fired at the front doors of the Bellagio because of where we were sitting 75 feet away? Yes.
And this was, again, 45 minutes or so, maybe a little longer after the other incident. So it's not It wasn't the
No.
same time. There wasn't a miscommunication.
No.
I have as long as you have. Why don't you read that for
Can
us?
I bring this up really quick? Because
Absolutely.
I had posted it and it was almost perfect as far as how he described it and how he said it. Okay, here it is. Are you ready?
Yes.
All right. This is from my husband writing this. It says, just to clarify some of the misconceptions that might exist from the written narrative that accompanied my videos. These are videos that when people had written an article about me or said things on the side. I know there was something out there and it's a picture of me looking at the hotel at the Mandalay Bay. And I'm like, they're trying to make it so over dramatic. And that's not what this was supposed to be about.
Mm-hmm.
So it says, we absolutely heard gunshots while sitting in the Bellagio lobby, Petrosian Lounge, about 75 to 90 feet from the glass doors of the main lobby entrance. We did not see any gunmen. Instead, we saw a wave of human chaos come crashing through those doors and rush in all directions through the lobby and casino. Hundreds of people running in all directions away from the gunfire. Rene and I took cover under a table next to the piano bar, or next to the piano in the piano bar when things started to quiet down. The Bellagio security in the red jackets came running through yelling, "Run." So we ran through to the back of the lounge into a series of corridors until we found a bank of elevators and eventually made it back to our room. All of this happened between 11 and 11:30, which was 30 to 45 minutes after the shootings at Mandalay Bay. Several hours later, around 2 a.m., Rene and I went back downstairs, and that was when she shot this video. Casino staff were scrambling to clean up and secure all cash, poker chips, etc. All the players, dealers, literally everyone had to run for their lives when the shots were heard earlier.
I don't think there's any disputing what you guys experienced. I don't want to hear anyone tell me that what you're saying didn't happen, that what you're saying is, I mean, there are people that think you've just made this up. Like, yep. I just came up with this story, you know, why? I mean, your husband is a very credible, you know, gauge Former of what's Marine. Happening. Yeah, exactly.
For almost 23 years. He didn't do, you know, I mean, his job in the Marine Corps and what he has done in his career, like I said, he doesn't scare easily. And for him to, and he is always remaining calm. He was so worried for everyone and very scared. All I had in my head was, I can't believe this has happened. I'm hearing this. There was so many, it was like instant thoughts. I can't even describe it. I cannot describe what goes through your head when you hear that. And my heart goes out to these people that were there at the festival. And I mean, to be taken that kind of way, and their families. And I can't even imagine what they're going through, and our love and prayers go out to them. That was one of the saddest moments is here. We're sitting there and none of us knew, none of us knew.
It's all of us, I think, we're collectively looking at what was unfolding and feeling that exact same way. It's just horrific and horrible. And that's why we are all fueled for what the truth. I mean, I can't if there was something bigger here, we need to know. Yeah.
I mean,
it needs.
And even there are people that have better video than I do. There were people that have video like of gunshots at the Aria, of stories that where they were at the other hotels. And I'm sitting there, and what I can't understand is, you know, if you've been to the Bellagio and everybody's standing out there getting ready to take pictures of the fountains as the fountains do the water dance and stuff like that. How is there not any more video? How? I mean, I understand if you hear gunshots, it's not like you're going to stand there and go, oh, where are these coming from? You're going to drop and run. I mean, there was one guy that messaged me. He was up on the balcony of the hotel next to us. And he was like, we saw all the cop cars come. And they had their own story as far as they got pushed back into the kitchen there and everything. And it was just like, he can't say anything either. So I'm just.
Rene, if anybody that you know wants to anonymously provide information, like, you know, video, and don't want to say who it was or anything like that, I can share things anonymously for them. If they just want the information out there, we need to get it out there. And what you're doing is really, really brave. And I really thank you for it.
I didn't even think of it as bravery. I literally thought about it is like safety. And what it is looking like that is so bad is like they're worried about tourism and money over the safety. And I can't figure that out, because that, I thought our country was better than that. You know what I mean? It's like, does money make you happy? Nope. It's about people and that kind of thing. And it's just kind of like, how could money over safety just not be, or the safety over the money, excuse me, sorry, be in play here? I can't. So as far as the bravery, I don't feel, I literally feel like this was just all about safety. So the people that wanted to private message me that this was selfish, blah, 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 I'm sorry you feel that way. And I'm not a drunk. I wasn't drunk. I hadn't drank. That's not my lifestyle. And because I got all kinds of private messages from people saying all kinds of nasty things. And then I got some really, really, really good ones. And the really, really good ones were at least that I knew that people were like, oh my gosh, this was really happening. And that's why I kept it up, because I was going to pull down the videos and everything. I'm like, I don't need this headache like this. And the bantering and the harassment. But
I read through your thread on Facebook that's open, and I saw how you responded to people, which I think was really well done, because I know how it feels to be trolled. You were great. You're like, you don't know what you're doing. Basically, like, I was there. I experienced this firsthand, and you're trying to tell me that it didn't happen.
Yeah, you're being a little delusional, sir, but I respect you for that.
That pretty much, that's what you did. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, goodness. Anything else that you want to say? I mean, I don't know if anyone, I'm reading my chat real quick, and
sure.
I don't know if anyone has any questions for Rene real quick. Otherwise, I will let her go, and this will go into video history as a testimonial of the Bellagio Hotel, because
yeah. Yep.
You know, I'm so glad that your husband and you guys are okay, and you made it home safe. And
thank you.
I think I made a new friend out of all this.
Absolutely. You're definitely my new computer tech girl. That's for sure.
That's good. That's good. I can help you with that. Anyone have questions for Rene before we go? I'm looking at the chat now. It's a little delayed, Rene, so we'll give it a minute.
No, that's fine. And like I said, a couple radio shows, as far as I think one was like Patriot Nation or something like that, had called, and as far as doing a couple different things. And I'm just kind of, I'm literally watching on the news, like, okay, is somebody going to say something as far as these other hotels? Not even about my video, not even about, but that, yes, this is what it is. That's all.
Yeah.
You know, not about who shot what video where and what the circumstances and secure, just the fact that it wasn't for the safety of the people. Plain and simple.
I usually have no problem talking.
I always talk. So
I'm flabbergasted. Okay, I have a couple questions for you. Yeah. Someone's saying, do we know of anybody who has pictures of the shattered glass at the Bellagio?
No, not that I know of. We went back downstairs, and of course, during everything happening, the last thing that I actually thought about was reaching into my purse to grab my phone. And as people are stampeding towards us, and I'm down to the ground. And then when the security came through, we were already rushed back. So I don't have any. However, when we went back downstairs, I honestly thought, now I stepped on it right outside that hallway that was after the casino. I personally stepped on glass. And so, because you could hear it, you know, I knew that. I was like, Daniel, there's still glass here. But as far as seeing from what we had seen initially, that I did not get pictures. If they're out there, I don't know. I know a lot of other people were in a lot of other places from the messages that are coming in to me, but I don't know.
That's great. Okay. So shots at the Aria too, someone's asking?
Yes. I've got videos sent to me yesterday or the day before with a video of a stampede and them saying shots fired at the Aria. And you want me to hold it up and play it for you?
Yeah, sure. If you can, that'd be great.
Yeah. Yep. Here it is. Oh, in fact, here it is right here. Okay. If I go like that, are you going to be able to see?
You have to move up. There you go.
Okay. Hold on a second here. Let me get this situated. I'll try and do it where the sun's not coming in either. Okay. This one right here is Says Rene down, watch the video about the Aria. So here it goes, especially to those of you saying, stop talking about this. Stop making assumptions, etc. Call me crazy, call me dramatic, call me whatever you want. I'm posting this for those of us that were out on the strip Sunday night who know what we saw and know what we were told by police officers, security guards, and even the local news when all of the madness started. I'm posting this in hopes of informing others who have believed everything they've seen on the news. If while leaving the Cosmopolitan, we had been told that there was one shooting at the Mandalay Bay, her boyfriend and she would not have been worried for their lives. She names herself in this.
Okay.
And we would have continued to go out knowing that we were headed to a particular area of that strip. But that's not what we were told. We were told that there were 7 confirmed shooters and confirmed deaths at multiple hotels, including Bellagio, the Aria, and New York, New York. Being told this by a security guard who then told us to go to the 3rd floor for safety. So then she goes on a little bit more about her story. But at this point, here is the video.
Move it back a little bit.
I can replay it for you as well. You can hear the shots in this one.
Yeah. Wow.
You
know what? Maybe you can play it again. Yeah, definitely. And send me if we'll talk after and I'll grab that and I'll be.
Yeah. But this is the kind of stuff that people are sending. And this girl actually put it out. It's actually out on Facebook. I've got a few other messages that are like this, but here, I'll play it one more time so that. Can you hear those shots?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and it says there are shooters here with machine. I mean, so like I said, it's not like we're just sitting here going, what should we do today? And yeah, this is real. I would not want anyone to ever experience this. Never. I don't even know how military people, God bless them, because most of my husband's family are, and that do this, and then to remain so calm hearing that, where we would have never thought of hearing that ever. And would I go back to Vegas? Absolutely. Would I be there tomorrow? 100%. I love Las Vegas. I love the people of Las Vegas. I love the town of Las Vegas. When my husband was stationed at 29 Palms, we used to go out there every couple weeks and go to the spas at one hotel and this and that. I mean, he liked that. And it wasn't all about like gambling and stuff. It was more about the relaxation and that kind of thing. And I love Las Vegas, and this does not define its people, not by any means. I would be back there in a second.
And we have to do that, obviously.
Yep.
And we will. Well, wow, Rene, let me help you with this, and so that it's not all on your shoulders with these people, because people need to talk. No, seriously, that's so much for you to deal with. I mean, people need to talk to somebody who understands that they're telling the, like, you can't be alone. Like, it's so sad that people are being treated the way they are when they have 2 eyes and they experience something so traumatic to be told, oh, that never happened, by a staff member that works there.
Yeah. And you know, the biggest thing with my husband, I always said, we had both been married before, and I always said, you know, God gave me Daniel and his integrity, and he's so humble. He's not one of those like, ooh, he's not that guy. He's so humble and everything. And then when somebody blatantly lies to him and he knows they're lying, he will keep the straightest face, where I would be like, you're lying. And he just, because then at least he knows what that person's about. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? His sister-in-law, or my sister-in-law, his sister, Denise, called us. They don't live in the United States. They live out of country. And they called because they were seeing stuff right as we got into the room and turned on the TV, and they were like, what? And so Denise was literally, I mean, kind of filling us in too, what they had already been watching, because we hadn't gotten to the room yet.
And you had no idea that anything else was even happening.
No, we had no idea that all of this had happened prior to what was going on there. And ours, by no means, I mean, I haven't heard of anybody getting hurt I don't know, and I also don't know what's being said and what's not being said. And I do not mean any of this as far as any kind of takeaway from the Mandalay Bay, because that above and beyond is the main focus. And I get that. My thing was the fact that there were other people that were still at risk, and it could have been really, really bad. Mm-hmm. That's all that it was about.
And my last question for you is just one other question someone had was, did any other media besides the people that you had mentioned already that you know attempt to speak with you about what you have witnessed, or have you just seen people using that video and not questioning you or asking you for comment?
Yeah, that's the way I've seen it. I've just seen them like all of a sudden somebody will say, hey, Rene, I saw this on such and such. And I was like, you know, I know they put it out there, but then, like I said, when they add their own narrative to it, I'm kind of like, come on, people, you know, at least stay with what I said. Even me, heightened in all of the stuff, I was like in the bullets, and I'm like, did I see any bullets? No, I didn't. That's why my husband wrote what he wrote, to clarify, as far as, you know, he, like I said, he's very, very calm. I was much more excitable. I was very, very scared and very shaky. And so that's why he wrote what he wrote. So when these people are even putting other words and writing other things and trying to make it look as a certain dynamic, that's not the way that it was.
So the mainstream media basically won't touch the story because they're being told by officials that it didn't happen, and everybody that experienced it is mishearing or misexperiencing or didn't understand what was happening.
That's what I have been told by one of my very good friends that I gave an interview to almost immediately. It was right around 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. And she called and she said, Rene, and then I just spoke with her yesterday and asked her regarding how the printing of it was going to be. And she was like, they won't give me the go ahead on it. So and she was like, Rene, I'm sorry. And I said, well, look, if anything comes up, you know that I'm here and I will answer your questions. There's about 3 to 4 people that I would talk to specifically, but that I know that aren't going to twist around what I've said.
Renee, I love you.
Ah, thank you. Love you too.
I just want to help
you guys are all safe, and anybody watching this that was safe. But like I said, it's just, I wouldn't wish that upon anybody. That feeling, you can't. There's no words. There's no words for the sounds. There's no words for, you know, you think about a gun range. Okay, you go to a gun range. You know that you're standing there and people are pointing guns, and you're expecting to hear gunfire. When you're sitting at 11 o'clock at night, dressed up at a lounge, people are laughing and having fun and the last thing that you expect to hear is gunfire. And then when you do, everything that you ever thought that you saw on TV about when this stuff happens in other countries is happening where you're at. You can't put words on that feeling. You can't put it.
I have someone saying, please let you know that there are many people saying prayers for you. Take care. Make sure you watch for signs of PTSD coming from military, I'm assuming. And
thank you.
We'll cut this now, but please stay in touch with me. We're going to keep talking.
Absolutely. Everybody, right. God bless. Take good care.
All right. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for listening.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Stay safe.